Hi, my name is Deepak, and I am the founder and CEO of iRestore. iRestore is a mobile platform that helps electric utilities turn the lights back on when they go out. Did you know that power outages cost the U.S. economy $30 billion each year? This in a $600 billion utility industry. Picture this, glass-walled conference room in Waltham, Massachusetts, 3 years ago, and there were two burly fire chiefs sitting and really rebuking a utility executive that there's got to be a better way in which we could provide you information when this happens. So this is something that you might encounter in your neighborhoods, and the fire chief was narrating essentially what happens when this happens in a neighborhood. Somebody calls 911, and they were telling the story of, well, we have one of our fire trucks go to the scene, and a firefighter jumps out, pulls out their circa 1980s two-way radio, and they radio their dispatcher at the fire station, who then literally swivels their chair, picks up the telephone, a plain old telephone, and calls the utility call center to report this. The call center then takes them through an 8-part script, and then eventually they get patched to the control room at the utility where the dispatchers actually send somebody out, typically send somebody out that's a troubleman that actually then is out there to determine what the problem is before they can send somebody to actually repair it. So this is what happens. This is the reality of what happens during a power outage. The current problems, why are they so difficult to diagnose? Current systems that electric and gas utilities have to determine what's happened, what's broken, where it is, and what it's going to take to fix it, currently are primarily focused on the customer side of things. They identify who's out of power. What the utilities have a much harder time to determine is why they're out of power. And typically the process to determine why they're out of power is time-consuming, manual, and requires multiple truck rolls of somebody that goes out there to determine what's really happened. So once they know what's actually happened, they can then dispatch the resources to actually solve the problem. So iRestore was born from that need for better information during a power outage. So what iRestore allows the utility to do with a suite of very easy to use applications is pinpoint where the damage is, prioritize the utility's response to the outage, and then perform the repairs with the right crews and the equipment. What does that equate into? Determine what's broken, where it is, what it's going to take to fix it, and then get the right people there to fix it. Allowing the utility to reduce the time duration of an outage as well as reduce the cost of responding to the outage. So our platform is live. We started 2016 with one pilot customer. We ended the year with a platform in full production, live in 4 states with over 1,400, actually that number is now up over 1,600 fire and police users that use our easy-to-use smartphone application to report grid damage directly into the utility so they can then get eyes on the scene and determine what the problem is, send the right person there to fix the problem. The platform has been used to upload over 10 gigabytes of images. They take a photograph, it geotags the location of the damage at the scene and then sends that information directly to the utility, eliminating a lot of this truck rolls for a telephone pole that's down or something like that. We've grown our contract value 300% over last year. Like I said, we've got 3 live customers in 4 states. National Grid, which is $20 billion revenue utility in New England, headquartered out of Waltham, was our first customer for the product. They're now in full production. They're actually, they've done a press release on how this was the first in the nation application for first responders to report utility damage in to the utility. They've done a number of media clips and TV appearances about our application. It's been used to file over 700, actually currently over 800 damage reports in with almost 7,000 texts going out to utility personnel alerting them of grid damage. And it's actually being used now to enhance public safety, to reduce the time it takes for the utility to respond when one of those things happens. So we have a really strong team that combines really two aspects. One is the mobile platform that we bring, which is a crowdsourced big data platform in the cloud that interacts with these native applications that reside on the devices. And the platform actually has all the intelligence to determine, based on context and location of the user, what the user needs. So we've got mobile platform experience and we've got utility operations experience, and we've combined that in our team, and the team's really helped us to get to where we are now, and we have a very strong pipeline nationwide of utilities that are looking to implement our first responder application. So our first responder application, just switching back there, is really our flagship application, but we have a suite of other applications that utilities can use to determine, like I said earlier, what's broken in the grid, where it is, what it's the resource it's going to take to fix it, and do it with a suite of applications that is really, really easy to use. I mean, it's almost to the point where we're using schematic diagrams, so it's almost like a cartoon instead of reading a 500-page novel. Currently, a lot of the systems that utilities use in the field were designed for PCs and have very poor usability on mobile devices. So what we've created is a set of applications, because we realize that it's not enough to sell the utility customer. We now not only want satisfied customers, but we want happy and ecstatic users of the products that we provide. And that's been a big thing for us. So we have a mobile game designer that designs our applications. Design and user experience are extremely important, as you might know, in the mobile space. And that's kind of what we've focused on a lot. And that's getting us a lot of interest in both our first responder application with utilities around the country, as well as some of the other applications that can be used both during a storm as well as in blue sky for inspection and understanding the real-time state of assets. So the plan going forward is basically we have a market-validated product that's already earning revenues. We're planning to basically end this year on a multi-million-dollar total contract value, scale our market-validated product, expand sales and marketing distribution through a set of strategic partnerships. We have 4 companies already on board for that. We're looking to raise an equity financing round and grow our share of this market, which extends to not just the damage assessment, but also the work management at utilities.
Can you expand a little bit on your sale? Do you go through procurement with those first responders? Does it take time?
Oh, no.
Does it work?
So I should have clarified, I'm sorry. Our business model is we sell to electric and gas utilities in the U.S. And so they're our customers. We geofence the products so that they can provide it to for a first responder app, an unlimited number of fire and police within their service territory. So it's live in 4 states in New England and New York right now. They're doing a rollout in New York City and upstate New York as well. So they license it. Typically we sign a 6-year, and we deliver it in SaaS model, typically sign a 6-year agreement. Some of them want to prepay it so they can capitalize and do a rate recovery and so on. But it's the electric and gas utilities that we're selling to. My partner, Michael Hayflick, comes from that background, utility. We have a very strong utility operations experience team that brings that background. So that's our business model. For the other applications, they're designed for the utility's own users to use, and they replace primarily PC-based applications that they use right now with very, very easy to use these supercomputers in your pocket that they're currently using for calling and texting. And we're basically saying, well, you don't need an IT infrastructure to roll that out in 4 years and millions of dollars. We can do it for a fraction of the cost and much faster than those other alternatives.
Can you talk a little bit more about pricing? So how much do you charge per utility? And then also, what are your revenue projections for 2017?
Yeah, so we can talk about that offline on the revenue projections. What I can tell you is that we're looking to, the target that we've taken this year doubles our total contract value from 2016. And we have a stretch target, which actually is about 2.5 times. And so growth is good. I mean, we see demand for the applications that we provide. There's nobody out there. I mean, there's the immediate competition that we have is utilities trying to build some of this themselves. And a few companies that primarily come from a legacy of PC applications. But our pricing is driven on the basis of meters that the utility has, so that allows us to scale pricing up in the sense that a very large utility pays a lot less per customer or per meter. But it also allows us, a municipal utility, a mid-sized utility, to come in at a lower price while they're paying more per meter, more per customer. So that goes along the same lines of a lot of infrastructure, hardware and software that utilities procure, which is driven off of the number of meters or customers that they have.
So I have two questions. One is, where are you based? It sounds like up in Massachusetts. And number two, have you spoken to the venture arms of the utilities, for example, in this region, the guys at Constellation Ventures?
So the company, we started here with PEDC, with Dave here in Tyson's Corner. I started the company in California 4 years ago, but it turns out that 87% of outages occur because of extreme weather in this part of the country and to the southeast as well. And so a lot of our early customers have been in New England and the Northeast. So we're based out of West Hartford, Connecticut right now. But we have a distributed team that provides this capability. When we started the company, there were a lot of traditional venture capital. I come from having done startups in the past and raised venture capital in the past, but venture capitalists were very wary of investing in something that targets electric and gas utilities. Saying that it takes too long to sell into these companies. And so a lot of the Silicon Valley VCs that I knew were wary about investing in anything that had to do with selling to utilities. I'm glad to say that we've now proved that it can be done. And so when there's a need, you can find a way. The utilities themselves do have VC arms, but they're typically doing Series C and D deals, investing alongside other VCs that are doing C and D deals, growth stage capital, similar to a bank. So not really for anybody that's doing a startup. So they're, maybe they were doing that 10 years ago, but today from everything that we can see, a lot of them are doing, the large ones are doing much later stage deals, not appropriate for a company that of our stage. But we'd love to get a strategic investor that's either a utility or a major supplier to the utilities. And that's kind of who we're really seeking in terms of helping us both from a distribution perspective and as well as strategic money basically into the business.
You mentioned when talking about competition that some utility companies are trying to do this themselves.
Yeah.
Do you feel that you have defensible IP? And do you see a threat that some big utility company comes along and just says, "Hey, we can throw a lot of money at this and try to create the same thing ourselves"?
Yeah. Of course, a lot of utility companies think that they're tech startups. And try to do that. But the thing with building mobile technology, particularly mobile and big data cloud-based technology, is that if we're a product startup, that's all we're eating, sleeping, drinking, thinking, virtually 21 out of 24 hours in the day. And all we're thinking about is how to build a better product mousetrap, how to improve the mousetrap once we've built it. And, once you're doing that, there's no way that, so this is why I think we're always going to out-innovate a large company that's trying to do the same thing. So we're not afraid of large companies we have one patent that's already filed, and we have about 4 more that are in the works of machine vision technology being used to prioritize, damage assessment data. So a lot of the things that would put more intelligence to analyze information once it comes in. A lot of systems that are out there right now that the utilities use require the end user to learn something End users in the field don't want to learn anything. The system's got to learn their context, what they're trying to do in their job, and prompt them with the information that they need to do their job. And until the systems flip that design paradigm, none of these PC-based companies are really going to be successful providing really innovative mobile software to workers. The largest, ERP companies out there have done hundreds of millions of dollars acquisitions, but utilities still tell us they've never seen anything like our stuff because it's designed to be easy to use. And if you can get the user on your side, that's the starting point for a lot of great stuff. And that's what our focus has been.
One last question. I better be careful or Dave's going to label me as the exit guy, but just very briefly on exit, how do we make money? Who buys the company? How does that go for us?
So there's 2 or 3 major categories. One is, infrastructure providers to utility companies. Utilities currently spend, $47 billion on technology, $6 billion on software, $1.5 billion a year on outage management systems, and multiple billions of dollars on smart meters that tell them who's out of power but not why. And so that's where, with a much smaller investment, they're going to be able to get much better intelligence on the root cause of an outage, which is the missing piece in the market of how to figure out what's broken, where it is, what it's going to take to fix it, and who can actually fix it. So that's the piece that we focus on. And so the potential acquirers fall into infrastructure, hardware, and software companies like General Electric and ABB, and even smaller ones there. There's also software companies that are displacing those companies, like Oracle, that are that have developed their own outage management system. And then there's other companies that provide additional software into that operation space. But it's in the there's 2 buyers of technology in utilities. It's called information technology and operations technology, which is all the real-time stuff. So we sell into the operations technology, all the real-time stuff. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So